Today, I want to see if I can beat the co-op mode of Bread and Fred by myself with two controllers. Bread and Fred is the game that has tested many friendships with its tough coordination and skills, so what if you don't have any friends to test this with and still want to feel the same level of relationship strain? Well, the game already has a mode where you can play by yourself by throwing a rock around. But really, where's the challenge in that when I could struggle to play the game with two controllers at the same time? We start off the game with setting myself up with the controllers. I decided to go with them side by side to begin with, as while there may be other options, I wasn't about to get my feet out for free. I decided on an Xbox controller in the left hand and an 8BitDo Pro controller in the right, and I ended up with a kind of claw-like grip on each controller which felt pretty decent. I'd use my left pinky and the right thumb to move around, and then the left thumb and either my right pinky or the ring finger for jumping. This was where having the two different controller styles worked quite nicely, as having the thumbstick higher on the Xbox controller was easier to hit with the little finger, and the lower PlayStation style of the 8BitDo made it easier for the thumb. Once I'd jumped around a little bit, it was time to hit the first obstacle that was kind of the point of the whole game: swing jumping. Here, you have to have one little penguin anchor down while the other one spins around to get momentum. You then need to release the anchor at the correct time to fly in the direction you want to go. It took me a little bit of time to get the timing right for this, as I also learned I need to hold right on both of the controllers as well to get the full distance that I wanted. Okay, so everyone hold right. And yes! Okay. Pull up, pull up, pull up. I quickly got into the habit of doing a 3, 2, 1 countdown to myself to set up my jumps, quickly making it to our first bigger swing jump. Then we need to hold right. And ready, 3, 2, 1. Okay. While I was already struggling to get the jump correct, I was also finding out that sometimes my hands wanted to do different things to what I wanted them to do, and I'd even started to blame them like they were different people. 2, 1. You didn't jump. Don't. 3, 2. Nice. After failing some more on the big jump, the game does tell me about the assist settings, but I wanted to avoid these if possible. It had honestly gotten to the point where I was questioning what I was doing and if it was even possible for myself, and it may have already been taking a mental toll on me. How am I meant to do this? Am I doing it wrong? Apart from, playing it by myself, am I doing this wrong? Ah! No. No! No! It's fine. It's fine. Even though I'd made it past this first jump already, I'd suddenly hit some kind of wall where I was struggling to get consistent jumps over it. I eventually think I figured out that the anchor penguin also needed to press jump while releasing the anchor button to really get some height. This was a little awkward with my finger setup, but I was then able to try it on the bigger swing jump. Yes! Yes! Get up, yes! I had made it to the next zone, for all about 2 seconds. What I did decide while doing the swing jump again though is that I found righty to be the better anchor holder, as the buttons were in an easier place to press, and lefty was then the designated swinger. Once back in the next section again, I learned about grabbing, allowing our penguins to grab onto the walls. However, the default button for this was the left trigger, which was really not going to work with me as I basically had no access to it in this configuration. So I ended up changing them to the left bumper, allowing me to jump up and grab the wall. This wasn't too bad to start with, just jumping up and grabbing, but when I had to run, jump and grab, the direction I was facing really started to matter, as a right facing wall was easier, but a left facing one was a little harder. After a lot of mishaps with swing jumps, I made it to the next gauntlet, a back-to-back grabbing section. I'd have to grab with one and then swing round and grab with the other. However, I realised I need to change the controls again for my right hand, as pressing the left bumper wasn't going to be easy in this grip, so I swapped it to the right bumper for that hand. Then, after a lot of failed attempts, I managed to get on. 3, 2, 1. Get it. Okay. Go. 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 Go! 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 No! Wow. Unlock the skin. So something wasn't working right with my control setup at this point, I'd found. Apparently, I hadn't saved the setting to have the bumpers switched around, so right it was still bound to the left, which was why my grabs were never succeeding. After playing around and changing the controls again, it still wasn't working, and I was of course taking it really well. Why aren't you grabbing? Why aren't you grabbing? Let's just return. Okay, that's good that I can learn how. Why aren't you grabbing? Fine. Fine. It was at this point I threw a bit of a tantrum, thinking that the controller was the issue. Fall back, fall back. Nope, fall back. Okay, we're replacing you. I'm replacing you. And this, you're being replaced. I tried a variation of the Switch Pro controller, a PS4 controller, and a Scud controller. All to no avail, as I still wasn't able to grab correctly with righty, which was doing wonders for my psyche. Right, 3, 2, 1. Why didn't you grab? Why didn't you grab? It was at this point I thought I'd made a breakthrough on my controls issue. Wait a second. I'm an idiot. I'm an absolute moron. However, although I was setting the new controller settings for player 2, the game for some reason wasn't saving them. So with even more trial and error of the controls, I managed to finally get the right bumper to work for grab, with the help of Steam inputs. I eventually also went back to the 8-bit Do controller, it just felt right. Now I would have finally complete the grabbing gauntlet and make my way past 50 meters. I decided that after getting to this point, however, I needed a bit of a break for my mental sanity. But after taking that break, it felt like everything I'd learned from before had just fallen out of my head. I feel like I can only show you a montage of the sadness I endured. Help me! No! One. I've forgotten how I held the controls. One. I keep not jumping on this one. No! No! Stop! One. Okay, it has been 14 minutes and I'm back where I started. How big even is this mountain? It's got to only be like 50 meters, right? No! Fuck! All my skills depleted. Brain cells gone. Yeah. No! Fine. It's fine. I was being too quick, too cocky, too quick. Hurry up, get him. Get him now. I'm not as practiced with right jumps. Get him. No! Okay, my nemesis. We have not got past this point yet. Yes, get him! Yes! I finally managed to make some forward progress after about 40 minutes of redoing the previous areas, to then hit what I think may be one of the hardest jumps of this run for me. Oh no! Oh no! I need to do a swing jump that's not only farther than any of the other ones I've done so far, but I then also need to be able to grab hold of the wall straight away. This means I need to be able to swing with the left hand, anchor, and then jump with the right to be able to hit the bumper on the left controller to get hold of the wall. Quite a few button presses between my two hands. Safe to say, I was here for quite a while. I did at least find it nice that unless I completely overshot the jump, I was quite safe with my falls and could retry quickly. Damn it! Oh, I'm so far down! Fuck! Finally past this horrid jump, I do another back-to-back holding section, which I've become quite a pro at now, making it to another awkward little jump to get onto a smaller platform. Fortunately, my failures here netted me with multiple photos, which was nice, I guess. Yes! Oh, yeah, I got it. Great photo. After repeated failures here, I finally make it to the next zone, the Fishy Mines. This zone had a lot more moving parts, making the swinging and jump timing much more important. It also introduced crumbling blocks, which meant I felt even less safe standing around. I was grateful, however, that the zone was quite self-contained, so even my falls were never that bad. Ooh, no! Oh. Wait, nope. Apart from getting lost in the mines a few times, the zone overall was fairly forgiving and decent to get through. There was, however, one bit near the end that did make me think I may be stuck here and unable to progress. The section has you riding a minecart to then get to a small block that you need to jump up and grab onto, then swing the other penguin around and try and get onto another small block. With my controller config, this was a lot of buttons that needed to be pressed in the correct sequence between the two hands. At first, I didn't actually know where I needed to end up, so I kept trying to land on the breakable block, which would just fall under me every time. After a bit, I figured out that I need to go onto the small wooden platform somehow, which was honestly much more awkward. I needed to hold grab with the left hand, swing with the right hand, let go with the left hand when I was in a high enough position, and then try and hop enough left to get onto the wooden platform, and then potentially try and anchor down with the right hand to ensure I don't just fall off all the time. I genuinely thought this might be where the run ends, as I'd been here for about an hour just trying over and over again. After another good amount of tries, it was however starting to feel like I was making progress on it. I did realise that while on top of the breakable block, I also needed the left hand to continue trying to hold left to really get the momentum across, which was just another movement to remember while holding all the other buttons. After a lot more attempts, I finally made it on. Yes! No. Quickly getting back, I managed to finally get across and continue my journey of fun. This part of the mines generally wasn't too bad, and I was then thrilled to be entering the next zone. Oh no. Now being introduced to the classic fun of ice sections and platformers. But on top of that, we also got wind to bring in some extra thrills. The wind would not only push us back, but also allowed us to jump much farther when riding it. While making my way up the slippy surfaces with the wind blowing our little penguins around, I did like that I could use the corners to not only hide from the winds, but it also allowed me to line up my guys quite nicely each time for future jumps. As I did find that with my configuration, one thing that really annoyed me about the ice was that without a wall to line myself up against to gather my little penguins, the sliding would make it very awkward at times to actually get them correctly synced up, which would affect my jumps quite drastically. The swings in this zone were also quite interesting. They would blow up with the wind and allow you to jump to higher sections, but I never feel like I quite figured out how to properly do them, as it looked like you could potentially swing from them to skip certain parts. I did try just jumping off them with the wind blowing me to give me more distance, but I never quite got enough to try full swings off of them, so if there is a way to use them better, let me know, as I'd love to know. I think this zone in the game overall wasn't really that bad for me. It was mostly about learning restraint to not jump right away on certain jumps, as the ice and the wind would just take you off. That's so mean! Oh, that's so mean. This meant you had to try and delay things a little bit to get the timing just right. Okay, so I let it go for like half the time. There we go. So, 3, 2, 1. And then that should be enough! Oh. I also then found this section of wind right at the end. I tried for far too long to get through it as I had to have something in there, but I never managed it, so it will forever be a mystery to me. After deciding to leave this mystery section behind me, I make it to the final section of the game. This part is like a culmination of all the other areas, with some of the best and worst parts to overcome to finally get our little guys to the top. I think that after all my trials during the other sections, now feeling like my setup was really working, I actually didn't find this section super hard or anything. There were still some jumps that were trickier than others, and some gimmicks that I'd be glad to be away from. However, when I did mess up some jumps, the distance I'd fall was far greater than the other areas. Oh, good. Great! The last big obstacle of this game would of course be something that was similar to the small platform sections in the mines that I'd struggled on for so long. However here, I did find a small trick that you could actually stand on breakable blocks on the very edge and they wouldn't crumble. I never managed to get this again, and the fall distance from here was devastating, but it was interesting nonetheless. But now, with all my experience throughout the climb, I was actually past this section far quicker than when I was stuck in the mines, and with one last swing, I make it to the peak and end our journey. That is how you beat Bread and Fred when you have no friends and don't want to throw a rock around. But with that all now done, I wanted to see how quickly I could get up to 50 meters after struggling for hours on it earlier. Safe to say, I was now quite the pro at using the controllers like this for the jumps, and I'd honestly be tempted to try and get myself into the speedrun leaderboards with this setup, but maybe for another time. So with that, if you enjoyed the journey, maybe give it a go yourself, and perhaps subscribe and let me know if there's any other fun challenges to try, and I'll see you in the next one.